This is the 19th season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, Aftco, Pro Guide Batteries, X-Zone Lures, Shoreline Boat and RV Repair, Spro, Gamakatsu, Big Bite Baits, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning, and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk about bass fishing. We got a good one today. We got a guy who likes to talk about bass fishing. In fact, he talks about bass fishing for a living. The Dean, Pete Gluszek from the Bass University. He's called other things too, but we'll go with the Dean for the BTL version of the show. Had an interesting weekend. Was down in Fort Worth and got a call from Chris Zaldane. He's like, "Hey, you're not by chance down in Texas this weekend, are you?" And I actually got to jump in a little bit, a team tournament with them down there. They have a big deal. If you remember, we talked about it with Mike McClellan on the show, and we had Mark Jeffries on. We did the fish and chips, I think from like 2007, I want to say, to 2011, combination poker fishing. Well, anyway, after that stopped, Fun and Son down in Texas kind of picked it up, and they added some tweaks to it and did some really cool stuff. And it was literally like a last minute deal. Like I was in like designer jeans and a vest fishing with Chris Zaldane, but we had a poker element to it. And then we fished a power plant lake. And I think Chris is going to come out with a video on that, so I won't give that away on how that went. But it was fun to get in the boat with him. He definitely does very Chris Zaldane things. Swim baits, big baits, through a spoon that was about 15 inches long on a heavy rod, like stuff that I don't even have in the boat. And of course I drop shot it all day. So it was interesting. So stay tuned to that. The biggest thing that I got out of it was Justin Rackley, who's Lake Fork guy. For those of you who follow the social media, the YouTube channels, Lake Fork guy, and then John B, who has a really good interview on Zaldane's channel. They were there, and we had a bet with them on who would win. So I don't know if that's legal or not, but I may or may not have some signed simoleons, some signed cash from those two, which is on the board of signed dollar bills, along with I got a couple prize ones. Justin Lucas mainly. I absolutely obliterated him when we went out fishing. I always like to remind Justin of that. Anyway, let's bring in today's guest, the one and only Pete Gluszek. And Pete, I typically don't let guys on the show who wear orange, being a Sooner fan, but I make an exception for the Bass University.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That's our color. We're well received when we go to Knoxville wearing this orange.
Yeah. Or, I mean, that would also fit right in with the University of Illinois.
That's right.
Formerly the Fighting Illini, now just the University of Illinois, but it is that orange and blue. And then I was heartbroken that a couple different oranges got into the Big 12 championship this past weekend, with Texas with the burn orange, and then whatever kind of orange you want to call Oklahoma State. I call it Halloween orange, but yeah, lots of orange going on. Are you a football fan, Pete? Because I'm made up with it this weekend.
I watched I'm an Eagles fan, which we.
Oh no, I apologize.
Yeah, I honestly think it's a good thing. I mean, you got to get kicked in the mouth.
Yeah.
If you're a true competitor, in order to get better, you got to lose, and you got to find your weak spots. And the 49ers sure exposed that. And they walked strong. It was an impressive win for those guys. But I don't follow the college, but I keep an eye on it. Like, man, I hope they get this college. I don't know, playoffs.
I think they're going to 12 next year, Pete.
I think I like that, because I'm so sick of listening guys debate on who should be in, who should be out, what they think. It shouldn't be about what you think. You know what I mean? You qualify to get in or you don't. To be so subjective like that, it makes me nuts listening to that stuff,
Could you imagine if on the Elite Series, like the top 30 got into the Classic, but then 30 through 40 was debated by a panel of fishing experts based on how they're fishing, how their execution was, how they thought they did, who would have the best shot, and then they got to determine who the last 10 Classic spots were. That would be wild.
That it would be great podcasting, but but I don't think it's got a place. But that's what it sounds like. Yeah, it's like, oh man, well he's really good at drop shotting. This is going to be a drop shot tournament. We should let him in. You know?
Yeah. And then they talk about like trending, like, oh, they're playing really well. It would be like try to get a guy in who's like, yeah, he started the year with 4 zeros, but man, those last 3s really come on strong with top 10s. He's really fishing well right now. Let's toss him in there, not even if the first 4 didn't count.
No deal, man. You qualify, you're in, or you don't, you miss. You zeroed in the first tournament, you're out. That's the way it should be.
I agree. You live in the part of the country where you're like in the depressing time of the year weather-wise, aren't you? Because we're going through that right now in Oklahoma, like with kind of the cold and then the rainy and then the dreary. You guys have to be mentally strong out there on the East Coast.
You got to be tough out here, man. It's like my son is like, he's 14. He's really hard into fishing this summer for really the first time. It's been awesome, Matt, to be honest with you. We fished a couple derbies together, and he won his first youth tournament this year. But the cold chased him off the water. I mean, not everybody likes to go out and fish in 40-degree rain like we do, But
you mentioned the team tournament. Like I said, I just fished with Chris this was the first time I fished with Chris in a team tournament kind of format. And I thought it was real interesting. He was like, had an interesting game plan. Like I got the limit, fished that drop shot, but then, even though I was getting bit on it, he stuck with other stuff. Like dude, he was throwing like the big spoon, like the big spoon, like that he throws on the Elite Series, like, and was doing it in some crazy places. Like he was chucking that thing in like 6 foot, 8 foot. He was live scope. I mean, he was bomb casting. He was doing all sorts of stuff with it. I mean, do you do the Bass University and the classes of that, and you also team tournament fish? In your opinion, what makes a good team tournament partner or a good team in a team tournament setting? Because I think a majority of tournament bass fishermen team fish.
You're right, man. We love it. We like talking to the team guys. So many team guys come to our events, and it's what you guys did is awesome. You gotta love Zaldane, man. He just locks those giant baits into his hand, and I think that's the best strategy for team tournament fishing. So many times, like I'll be fishing a team tournament, and the guy that I'm fishing with, like, he'll see me catch 2 on crankbait, and immediately wants to switch over to join in. Where I think that the guys that complement each other are the guys that really can do like Chris did. One guy focus on finesse, the other guy focuses on power, and you get yourself into the winner circle more that way. I think it's a real talent, man. You know what you see often, dude? You see this all the time. You'll be like, oh my God, Chris Zaldane is pairing up with John Cruz, and they're gonna be a team tournament, and everybody will be like, oh, they're gonna kill it, two giant elite guys. And what winds up happening is you got 2 alphas in the boat. Nobody can make a good decision. Everybody's questioning each other, and they wind up, like cannibalizing each other's, strategy and fish. And it seems like if you've got one guy that is most often the decision maker,
running the show.
Yeah, one guy running the show and one guy filling gaps, just taking advantage of missed habitat, throwing a finesse bait when the other guy's power fishing, and vice versa, like you did with Chris. And those guys are the guys that are most dangerous in the team circuit,
The other thing I feel bad for, I don't feel bad, but it's an interesting dynamic, is, everyone wanted that we passed. And it was a great group of guys. Like I said, I was there kind of last minute addition, right? I wasn't even planning on doing this going into the weekend, but everyone wanted to know after what Chris had. How'd Chris do? How'd you guys do? What'd you have weight wise? Compared themselves. And it's, up against the big time elite. And I'm sure it's like this across the country, regardless of where you fish. Dude, that was like the third day that Chris had ever spent on that lake in his entire life. And there were 120 boats on it, but just the target on the back there, fishing against, like, we were probably at a massive disadvantage having it just been his third day versus guys who have fished that lake for years and years and years and have the sweet spot. He basically had like one area that he caught a few in the last time he was there, and the rest it was put the pattern together on the fly. No concept of kind of where we were headed.
And that's bold, like when you're a guy like that, you show up like there's no win unless you win the tournament. You're going to get punished, like, oh, we put the beat down on Zaldane, that's really the only the positive.
No, I'm not saying that happened. I'm not saying that happened. You're gonna have to tune into Chris's show when it drops on Zaldangerous to see how it went down, because there were some wild moments in the day. But I'm just saying, as a whole, a lot of guys ask how he did, and that had to be not in a bad way, but comparing.
Yeah. Well, you can't help but compare, and I think it's totally cool that Chris does that, and the other guys do it too. You'll see back here at home, where you talk about the weather, we have these winter leagues, which is ours is about to start, and it's miserable, like it's super cold, and we get maybe 8 boats, 10 boats will show up, and Ike will show up in one of those derbs. It's
awesome. You
gotta love that. Lets guys take a shot at him. He gets beat, he wins some, it's I think it's cool that guys do that, because I think some guys won't do it because there's just too much pressure.
What really grinds my gears, Pete, and if there's anybody listening that is in this camp, I invite you to email me at matt@basszone.com with a logical, reasonable email as to why you feel this way. Are the guys who don't want the quote unquote pros fishing their local jackpots, the team tournament series? I mean, I hear that all the time. Guys getting run out and saying, "Oh, sorry, we had too many people complain or not show up." I don't know in what world you wouldn't be pumped to fish Grand and Jason Christie shows up, or the Chesapeake Bay and you show up, or an 8-boat winter jackpot and Ike Adelli shows up. Like, who are these people? Because you hear it all the time. Chris talked about it. It's happened to him a little bit. I know guys for a fact that can't fish it local, like Wednesday nighters, Thursday nighter. Oh, sorry, man. They're bitching about you fishing this thing. I cannot for the life of me wrap my head around who would be upset about that scenario taking place.
They are. And you hear it all the time. Like, heck, they have contingencies, like in some of the entries on some of these events where, if you've paid a $5,000 entry fee.
Now I could understand that if it's a trail, it's for up and coming. It keeps it on a certain kind of demographic. But what I'm talking about are the guys where the tournament director has to call and say, "Hey, got a bunch of guys who are pissed that you're fishing this thing. You've kind of taken our money the last couple." Like, really?
Yeah. I'm with you. I think but here's the deal. Like, you get more positive than you get negative. And that always seems to be the case. Most of the guys are like you're talking about, like, man, it's so cool. I got a chance to take a swing at, Zaldane this weekend. And, you can brag about it to your friends. And, if you got beat by them, it's impressive. I think most guys are like that, but yeah, there's guys that, get upset. They put their money up and they don't want to see the guys there. But I'd like to hear that argument too.
Clay says you don't sign up for men's league softball to take a swing at Randy Johnson's pitches. Some would relish the opportunity, but most would feel cheated. I think that is a fair argument, but I don't feel like it's the same thing with fishing. I mean, you're never going to hit a Randy Johnson fastball if you're not a ball player. So, but in fishing, man, you can get the better of Kevin Van Dam. I mean, Pete, if you went out there, you'd get the better of Kevin Van Dam 2 or 3 times out of 10 on the water. And that's not bragging. That's just the facts, the way that fishing pans out.
Yep. And it's you're right. You got a shot. Any given day, you got a shot. And one of the cool things about it is a lot of times the guys like that are entering the tournaments, they're not locals anymore. You know what I mean? They're not on that body of water.
Yeah, they're at a disadvantage, kind of like what Chris was.
Yeah. I mean, you're showing up blind. You've had 2 days on that water in the last, couple of months. And, whereas the local guys have a real distinct advantage to flex their muscle.
Yeah.
And put the beat down on some big names. That is a valid point, though. I mean, you can see where the angler's mind can go into that negative place where, it's like, oh my God, why even show up if I've got to compete against Randy Johnson?
That's fair. I mean, the guy that I'm always worried about are the guys who show up and they, regardless of what boat they are, they wait till everybody takes off so no one sees which direction they go. They're in like a 98 Pantera with duct tape on the seats. They've got a net over the back butt seat, and they've got 2 rods on the front deck. Those are the guys you need to be worried about in the local derps.
Absolutely. They live there and they're tough to beat. Let me tell you, the Chesapeake is full of them, man. These, and that's where I fish a lot. That they know, when the water temperature changes, they know they got a best chance of getting a 6-pounder. And, it's surprising. Well, I don't know if you knew this, but man, the weights get huge this time of year down there, Matt.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that. I believe that's kind of like see it as Sasquatch after having fished that Chesapeake. Well, I mean, I did watch you catch 15 pounds, 30 yards from me in 5 minutes, but I have seen the weights. Like we're talking like mid upper 20s.
25 pounds won the last tournament that was fished down there. And you often see that our own Riz at Bass University, him and Justin, the Bass U duo went out and crushed like a 24.5-pound bag to win just about a month ago. So yeah, you start seeing in late October, November, you start seeing those weights start to jack up. And it'll be that way in the spring too. I mean, it'll be upper 20s at times to win the tournaments there, which is, you know how it is, man. You come to a place in September, every place in September is at its worst. And that's, of course, when we were there. But that was fun fishing next to you out there.
Fun for you.
Hey, it was a nice moment for me. I gotta say, that was a nice moment. I wish I could have duplicated that on the last day of the tournament.
Yeah, we're talking about the Bassmaster Open a couple years ago there on the Chesapeake, and I literally had one cast that I felt confident in, had any potential to catch a fish, so I opted to make that cast 8 hours straight, and Pete will verify that I did. I did not move.
That was impressive.
and Pete rolled up and knew a little sneak hole probably about 30 yards away. And it was every cast when he rolled up and he boxed a limit, and 15 pounds there was a mega sack.
Yeah. That was super cool. And that was some local knowledge going on there, because I didn't make a cast at that during practice. And I just rolled up there on Derby Day. I did that with a lot of places. You fish there for quite a while, and when the tide's right, this is a one of those places you got to look. And you were in a very, very good one. To be honest, if you weren't sitting there, I would have been over there too.
Really?
Yeah,
that makes me feel better.
Yeah, that was a good find. If there's what that is over there where we were fishing is an old they dredged out the marina.
And they dumped all that stuff there, so that's why there's piles of junk.
There's piles of junk, and there's nice dredge. I call them dredge walls. You see them when they dredge around floating docks, like down in North Carolina and stuff. That's kind of what it's like. And you got these nice break lines that go from 3 feet down to 10 feet, and the fish use them. And that's unusual. You don't have very much of that kind of habitat on the bay. So that little spot you found was a good one.
Is there any other fishery in the country that is even remotely comparable to the Chesapeake Bay?
Man, that's a great question. I, no, I mean it's unique. It's got kind of a low tide swing. It's surprisingly got big fish in it, which makes it very, very unique. I mean, the Potomac is off the Chesapeake, right? So that's got a lot of similarities to it, but it's the same body of water.
Yeah, but where else can you catch a smallmouth and an hour later be eating saltwater?
Yeah, that's pretty unique, right? Smallmouth being that close. Yeah, it's unique. You know what's? It has a 25 square mile grass flat, which
Yeah.
didn't play into our tournament, right? That was a non-factor for most people in the event, but I mean, it's got 25 square miles of water that you can walk, through up to your waist in most times, and giant bass living all over it. It's got stripers that come up, all the saltwater species come up. You got blue claw crabs in the mix, and just a lot of craziness going on down there, which just makes it just amazing. And I'll be honest, it's been going on for years. The strain or the genetics of that place are weird with big fish. Like you can go through the canal into the Delaware River and you can't catch a 5-pounder, and they're connected. But for whatever reason, the fish there they get big. Every tournament, there will be 6-pounders weighed in every tournament. 9 and 10 pounders have been weighed in tournaments there. For a place this far north, that's a giant.
You have marinas, you have dead areas. Like I remember that you have whole zones that have life, and then something happens where you don't. With how we had Aaron that one year that won an area, you can go up a river and there's millions of docks and I mean, it's a very, very dynamic and confusing and frustrating fishery if you just jump on it, because you can't ever get comfortable on it because nothing looks like anything you've ever seen.
And it's huge too.
Yeah.
I heard the story. I don't know what happened, but weren't you going to make a mega boat ride down there and ran into some giant waves or something?
Yeah. What was there was some river that was 100 miles away, and I was like the only place that I had a bunch of bites, and like I got like 30 miles in on the first day and was like, yeah, this ain't happening. 8-3, and the third one was like straight salt. Obviously, like I don't have my captain's license like the Birdman Kurt Dove, so he knew, hey, wind's blowing against the tide. You're in a washing machine here. Let's skirt it on the other side, shoot it up. But I didn't even know you could run over there because there's a bunch of weird looking stuff over there, and the map doesn't even show it. And then he made the run, but then it turns out that river was blown out and he didn't catch him. So I saved myself about $500 in gas.
Yeah, you did. You may have saved your boat too, because he's right to run the protected bank like he did, but there's a lot of lower units planted there. There's rock jetties that come way out, and you can get yourself into a world of hurt. But yeah, wind against the tide on that place, you got to respect Mother Nature. It's like the ocean out there. It's ferocious.
Yeah. You mentioned you're fishing Chesapeake a lot. What else are you fishing in 2024, Pete? I mean, we've seen you make a bid at the Classic. We've seen you win opens before, but you're equal opportunity. You seem to fish what's in your wheelhouse every year.
I'm excited, and I'm looking at the Toyotas. The Bass University crew is going to compete in the Toyotas this year. So me, Riz, and Justin have plans to jump in. I guess our division's called the Northeast up here.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it, man. Their schedule is always so good. I got to give them props for that. If you live where I live, the schedule is absolutely amazing. And it's Thousand Islands, it's Champlain, and the Potomac River. I mean, come on.
Good Lord.
It's like
you ought to be in line to win Angler of the Year in that with Pete. I mean, you should be in the mix if you fish to your potential.
Well, that's we got to keep learning, and then you got to be a lifelong learner in this sport, and I continue to learn and study, forward facing strategies and continuing to improve at it, because I'm going to need it. Like, started incorporating that in my fishing pretty aggressively this year. Been spent the last couple of years, developing my skills there. But boy, what we saw at the elites at Lake Champlain, it's like, my goodness, you don't even need to make a cast for largemouth anymore. You just scope around and catch 20 pounds of smallmouth now.
Mm-hmm. Has that changed kind of the structure and the content of Bass University? Have you seen a lot of people that are signing up that want to learn how, or do you still see a lot of the Bass University subscribers and attendees want the traditional pattern, non-electronics related stuff? Because I mean, that's your business. That's what you're in, right? You're the Bass University. So that has had to have been a difficult job to try to figure out how much you incorporate it in and how much you don't.
It's part of what we do, right? We want to teach, and it's honestly, it's opened up a lot of new and interesting topics that are amazing, and the guys really want it. So what has kind of changed is every topic we take on now at Bass UMAT has some type of sonar component to the instruction. One of the ones that I'm, the obvious ones are, we've done, Jay Shakurit's taken forward facing sonar through the seasons. We've got Ben Milliken this year talking about using forward facing sonar to catch the giants, which he's so well known for. So we've got those really cool, obvious ones for guys that want that. But Greg Hackney is taking us up into shallow water with it this year.
Okay.
And with his seminar in Shreveport and all the shallow water applications. So to answer your question, patterns are still, that's what we're finding. Patterns are still very, very key. You have to understand fish movement strategies. You have to be able to adjust to the conditions. And you also need to be able to apply forward-facing sonar in different applications. So people are hungry for it. They want to learn about it. We're still teaching the basics as well. It's got to be involved in every decision making, because you can be the best, scoper in the world, but if you're scoping where there's no fish that time of year, you're not going to catch them.
Or if you're scoping tilapia, or if you're scoping drum, or if you're scoping gar. There's a lot more to it. May or may not have experienced that very recently. By
the way, we were just on the water with Brian Schmidt, and you may not know that he has been an aficionado of this technology since day one. And we went through Brian's strategy. He taught us the tools and techniques that he uses to trigger strikes, with forward-facing sonar. So I'm really excited about that. That's going to be being released on Bass University real soon. Not going to want to miss that one.
I could picture him just going, you just get out there and just kind of pan it around a little bit. Just get a little look out there at what's going on. Catch a nice one every now and then. Just a couple nice ones on it.
Couple nice ones. I will tell you this about Brian. Oh my God, has he become a good teacher and a true pro? Like, we've worked with him for years now, and his ability to convey a message is really he's taken some major strides, man. He's fun to watch, fun to listen, and you want to listen to him because Matt, he's a killer, dude. I mean, he seems so lackluster and laid back, but he wins at an alarming rate compared to some of the best anglers in the world.
Absolutely. I'm trying to pull up his MLF stats. Yeah. So he has 12 MLF wins and 3 Bassmaster wins. So a lot of those are at Toyota Series level events, but also Opens, Elite Series, everything. But just the fact that he's got some BFLs in there too, I think he's got some BFLs in there too. But to have double-digit wins at the AAA and professional level puts him in such an elite class. I mean, we're talking about the Denny Brower type class as far as that number of wins. Like Deddy's and Rick's and Kevin's and all that. There's not many guys with 10 plus wins at the AAA level and above.
There's man, you probably named them all. There's any at all. And he's definitely one of them. Him and Jason Christie kind of stick in my mind as guys.
They are kind of parallel.
Yeah, they rip off the wins like so fast and furious. In comparison to the best in the world. It's they're and like I said, Brian kind of flies under the radar because he's just kind of nice and just a really cool person that he's not eccentric in his personality. So people underestimate him, and that's a mistake. That's a monster mistake.
Christie's kind of the same way too. He's not exactly a chatterbox. I mean, Christie likes to do the what's that called? Is that called the Irish goodbye, where you just leave without saying anything to someone? You show up and then everyone's like, "Hey, where'd he go?" They're like, "Oh, he left 2 hours ago."
Yeah. Well, they are similar that way too. It's interesting, but glad to have them both on the Bass University as Bass University instructors. I love we've got Christie talking about one of his most well-received seminars is his pre-spawn strategies, which are awesome with that big giant spinnerbait that he throws and just, is persistent to a fault, winning all those pre-spawn tournaments. But glad to have both those guys on the team.
Look at this. This is like kind of the original, the precursor to it. So that like that covert that he has like the red head on it and the big cop. So this is like one of the old school ones.
Look at that.
Here, let me pull this back. I'll show you this. Oh my God, a fishing show actually showing a lure on it. Stop the press. There's no controversy involved. But look at that one. But there's the head on it, got the thin wire, the big Colorado blade on it. And if you take a covert, I mean, there's a couple. Here's another one that's like a Jimmy Houston one. I think this is the old Jimmy one, but like that old flat rubber, kind of the short arm, the big Colorado. I mean, those are, I want to say 70s, 80s, these spinner baits, both of these right here.
Yeah.
And I've had some, I think Maynard sent me one of them for sure. Some BTL listeners send me these, but it's cool. The old school is new.
Throw big swim bait on there and you're ready to go Christie style.
Yep. For the lift on it. I'm sure he goes through all that as to why he uses that trailer in the seminar and how he gets the lift and whether it's shallow or deep and why he likes a heavy spinner bait and all sorts of the good stuff.
That's what we do. The detail. When you watch a Bass U seminar, my goal in every seminar is when you walk out of there, you don't have questions. Yeah. Like, how somebody will give you a tip. Yeah, you go fish on that point. They'll be there in the summer, and you get out there on the point and you're like, well, what depth, or there's stumps. Do I fish the stumps? Do I fish the rocket? You have all these questions, So what we try to do is we go to great lengths to get all those details into the seminar. So you have access to all that information.
All right. Bass U, not a BTL sponsor. I don't get a dime out of this, but have been friends with Pete, Ike, all the guys over at the Bass U, have attended numerous Bass U's as a media guy and just to listen and watch the ones that were in Tulsa. And I've been to some in Texas. But before we take our first break of the show, let's kind of get into everything that Bass U offers, because there's an in-person. Let me see if I can get this straight, Pete. There's an in-person seminar that you can sign up for there, and then we can go into minor detail on each one. In-person seminar, if you want to go watch it in person, take notes, do it, you can do that. You can also watch those seminars that are then put online after the seminars. Then you can also watch the Bass University on YouTube. That's live at 11 a.m. every single Tuesday. And then you also offer short tips and tactics on all of your social media channels. Is that kind of a fair assessment of the different avenues of the Bass University?
That pretty much sums it up, Matt. You know, in class and streaming, Bass University TV is our streaming service, and of course our web show at Tuesday, where we talk to guys like you and everybody else in the industry that teaches, you know, for us. So we try to focus hard on the teaching component during our
10 a.m. Central Time, 11 Eastern Time. So in theory, you watch BTL 8:30 to 9:30. You go make a cup of coffee, do whatever. And then if you want to avoid work for another hour, you jump on the Bass University, and you do a lot of live guests. You go into not only lifestyle stuff, but also focus on technique, tactics stuff. So if you want to kind of focus on that aspect, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't involve actually learning how to catch a fish that's going on in the industry right now. So this is a good outlet for that. I've got the schedule pulled up here. Coming up January 13th and 14th, Anderson, South Carolina, John Cruz, David Dudley, Jay Shakur, Nick Hatfield, and Brandon Coulter. Then this is a mega show here. This is January 20th and 21st in Texas. Stephen Browning, Nick LeBrun. I would put Nick LeBrun almost in that same, not quite yet there, but he has the possibility in that same category as a Christie or Schmidt, just as far as a guy who's real quiet, kind of laid back, absolutely loves to win. The next one is Shreveport, Louisiana, January 27th and 28th. Ike. Oh, this one's a banger. Ike, Hackney, Rivette, Mosley, Hudnall, and Cifuentes. Anyway, you can go down and look at all the different show deal on that on thebassuniversity.com. What is it? Oh, there it is right there. Is that still applicable even though it's no longer Cyber Monday? $99?
Yeah, Cyber Week. That's for the stream. If you can't make it to the class, all these classes will be streamed on bassuniversity.tv, so you can go check that deal out, and that's our Cyber Monday deal. Right now we've got a stocking stuffer special going on Bass University, which is really cool because a lot of people buy tickets as gifts for other people or themselves, but we've got a really cool stocking stuffer program going on. You buy a ticket, we give you a whole bunch of baits and stuff that you can put under the tree for somebody that you might want to buy this gift for.
What's it cost to go to one of these things?
It's the weekend ticket, 2-day tickets, $250. It's
there you go. That's easy. That's $125 a day.
125 a day. You can go Saturday or Sunday. And I know you go to Texas a lot, Matt. I want to invite you down to our Texas event this year if you can make it.
I think I should be around. I'd like to do that.
Well, check this out. We're gonna have a Bass University meetup. We had one last year after the event where we're going to Lake Athens, which is right there. We're at the Texas Freshwater Fishery Center in Athens. And so we go fish Lake Athens, try to catch a share lunker, and we hang out with all the Bass University subscribers. We jump in their boats. We just we call it the Bass University meetup. So that's going to happen Monday and Tuesday after the event. So it's a lot of fun, except for last year it sucked.
The fishing.
No, well, the fishing was okay if you could fish. We were in that ice storm, if you remember.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, we got pounded. I mean, the fishing would have been awesome if we could have got our boats in the water, but none of the boats could make it to the launch ramp. The roads were all closed. There were sheets of ice all over the place, and we got to fish for about 4 hours, and we all caught fish. And then we had to shut the event down, and it got even worse. Livesey was filming with Jake in the area, and they got shut down with the same weather, and they couldn't get home. So they came and hung out with us at the Bass University house. We lost electric transformer fires across the street. We had to steal firewood from the neighboring houses to stay alive.
And that sounds like a nightmare.
It was, except for, Lee, of course, comes equipped with cases of beer. So we burned firewood and told lies and stories around the fireplace with Lee and the whole Bass U crew. Actually was pretty awesome,
All right, we're going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, more with the Dean, Pete Gluszek of the Bass University. It is BTL on a Monday, December 4th. It is officially December. This is the first year. This is the first year since I moved out of the parents' house at 18, Pete, that I've had a Christmas tree of my own.
Oh,
first year. Is that not crazy? I did not realize that just a simple Christmas tree could bring me so much joy.
Wow. Good for you.
Plug that sucker in, walk out to the living room, and I'm like, holy cow, I actually have some decorations.
That's decorations, man. Do you have decorations with a new tree, man? We have decorations that are 50 years old.
So my parents' tree, like I had my own woodworking business and stuff. So like their tree is all decorated with scroll saw cut ornaments that I made since I was 8 years old, and they have all that. Now mine is a little bit more, I don't want to say commercialized, but I was like kind of matched the star with the thing on the bottom. It kind of looks like Hobby Lobby threw up in my living room, but I did it, got it all at a great discount. Makes me happy. Multiple lights in different areas. Very thrilled with the outcome.
Oh, good for you, man. Well, congratulations on your first tree.
Thank you. All right. BTL on a Monday. We'll be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top one on Strike King.
All right, guys, if you're a construction worker, soccer dad, soccer mom, you want to be outdoors, you've seen the Reaper. This right here is the zip-up full Reaper, but it's windproof, folks, windproof. And it actually has the mast built in. It's behind me. I mean, if you can look good, feel good, and stay warm, you better check it out. It's the zip-up Reaper. That's right, windproof.
Elite Series Pro Daryl Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
What's up, Bass Talk Live fans? Brandon Polnick here. And ever since I won a couple Bassmaster Elite Series events on X-Zone Lures, I've been getting a bunch of questions of what makes them so special and different. And really, the truth is, it's in the details. The little details, things like no cheap fillers in their plastic. That gives you more lifelike action, more realistic and vibrant colors. But don't just take my word for it. Go to www.xzonelures.com and check them out for yourself.
The great thing about the new Sensation soft plastics from Big Bite Baits, heavily scented, super soft, buoyant, comes in 7 great new shapes. I've got a couple of them of my signature series, the cliffhanger worm and the ramtail craw. Great for a flipping jig, football jig, swim jig, all that. Several other great shapes. Really excited about it. We've worked over the last year, catches fish all over the country, and I think it's going to catch fish for people everywhere you try it.
The Spro Little John crankbait has been around for almost 15 years, and it is one of my go-to crankbaits whenever I need a fish in the boat, so you can never have enough new colors. That's why Spro's coming out with a handful of new colors, including Pearl Shad, which has this bleached out white look, but it's got this pearlescent, really, really pretty. We've got Copper Shad, which looks amazing in the water. It's got that purple flake on the back, really, really pops in the water. And then, if you want some real pop, We've got sparkle shad, nothing but sparkles all over this thing. And then last but not least, we've got the matte sexy shad, just a really different looking color for a crankbait. So you want to give them a little different look, that matte sexy shad is definitely the one to go with. All these colors are available in the original Little John and the MD.
Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graphs up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronic setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products by visiting beatdownoutdoors.com. All right, welcome back. BTL on a Monday. Pete Glusic. Pete, I don't think I know the story of how you got involved with the Bass University, because now it seems like there's stuff popping up all over when it comes to media and industry stuff, and it's easier than ever to start a show, start a podcast, put information out there. But the BU's been doing it. I mean, you guys are you guys 10 years old already? Are you still?
We're getting on 15, Matt.
15. That was innovative and kind of new back in the day when that started. How did that come about?
Well, we seem to be going through a similar time right now, from economics. I was out on tour from, I guess, 97 for about 15 years or so. I did Bassmasters, and then I switched over and I was competing on the FLW tour for a long time, and it got to be I was really having a good time of things, but sponsorship is a challenge. It's a necessary part of the fishing game, and we had the 2008 crash, the Great Recession, they called it. Do you remember that? Were you around then, Matt?
Yeah, that was my first full year of working for Mark Jeffries and BTL, and I remember him saying, "Hey, man, I'm keeping you on," and I just, quite frankly, I thought it was BS. I was like, well, I'd already known by then that he was kind of tight when it came to his how do I say this? Financial decisions. And I was like, oh, that's BS. But I mean, I did that whole 08 year, I think, on $36,000 straight out of college. And quite frankly, my parents helped me out to survive, and we're like, hey, you got a job. You're doing what you love to do. You're doing it full time in the industry, or you're writing, you're working for Mark. And, if it wasn't for the fact that I loved it, yeah, I would have definitely felt it. But I was just so jacked in 08 that oh my God, I'm getting paid to be in the fishing industry.
Awesome.
That I probably felt it and didn't even realize I was feeling it.
Well, I felt it. And I know guys are feeling it now, because we seem to be going through a very similar time. But this was a monumental day for me in 08. When I really was fishing as good as I've been fishing in a long time. I just came off a couple Toyota Series wins the previous 2 years, and just checking at a good rate for me. And in the fall, in October of that year, in about a 2-week period, I lost 90% of my sponsorship income.
Oh my gosh!
At the top of my game.
Yeah, you won a Yoda in 07 and 06 and did $70,000 in each of those years just in earnings.
Yeah, it was a good time, and fishing was good for me, but the economics of the situation were what they were. I mean, the companies were hurting. They had to make cuts. And that's just the cuts that they had to make in the sponsorship realm. I'm sure internally in personnel they had to make cutbacks and reorganize and adjust things, and it was a tough time for all, but me, getting hit in the face with that was really shocking. And so at that time, me and Ike are, we're buddies since for a long time. We traveled together on tour for about 10 years. And, we're from the same area, but we have been talking about starting this program for, a long time. And when that shock came in 2008, that was it. That was the moment we said, you know what, we need to do something of our own. We need to do something out that, we can, that we love, and we can impact, make an impact and do something outside the scope of sponsorships, that would be helpful to us. And we both really love to teach. We had both been doing seminars all over the country our whole career. And it's passion of mine. I know it's a passion of Mike's. Mm-hmm. And so we decided to roll up our sleeves. And this is the great part. We rolled up our sleeves and we took this on, him and I. Becky was integral a part of helping us get it off the ground. G. Kim was our marketing person. She was wonderful. And several others. Bill Dakota comes to mind, Mike Naughton, all people that helped us. And we grinded and I'm like, this is going to be great because this is going to replace the sponsors that I have lost and is going to help me continue to fund my fishing. And in the first year, we lost $25,000. So we went backwards. But it was very successful in that they were well attended. Mm-hmm. People love it. There's people love getting in the classroom to learn. It's what we've been doing most of our lives, but you guys are taking notes. They're taking more notes than they've ever taken through high school and college ever, when they walk out of one of our classes, and you're sitting right next to a guy that loves the sport just as much as you do. Guys are making lifelong friends in our classroom, mm-hmm. And it's just so much fun. The students interact with the speakers. You get in their face and you can ask questions and dive into sonar or baits or whatever you want to talk about. And, but it's been great. So although it wasn't a tremendous financial return, the first year out, we felt like it was a big success. And that was, I guess that was 2009 was when we rolled out our first Bass University program. And here it is coming up on 2014. I guess this will be is this our 14th or 15th season? It's one of those.
Wow. Congratulations.
Do the math on it. It's still, people still, they love it because here's mm-hmm. the thing. You've got to be a lifelong learner. If you're going to be in this sport, whatever you do, Matt, whatever you do in life, man, you got to be a lifelong learner. You got to love it. And our sport is awesome because it's always changing. We've taken on all the new technology and incorporated that into our classes now. We still teach people how to catch fish. We have people in our classroom that'll never fish a tournament. They're not tournament guys. They just want to get better. They want to go fish with confidence, and that's what we try to deliver to these guys. And it's just a lot of fun. It's a weekend of fishing. It takes place in the winter when conditions are usually tough. And, but yeah, it kind of, Bass University was born out of the Great Recession of 2008.
That's interesting. I did not realize that.
Yep. And it's what's going on now is so similar. And, guys listen to the podcast, you probably know, but how many calls have you fielded from guys that have lost sponsors right now because of the economics of the fishing industry right now? Or there's, it's just, there's cutbacks. Sales aren't as strong as we'd like to see. And I see sponsorships getting cut in half in places and people losing sponsorships. So it's kind of parallels what we saw in 2008. I think we're going to have a great 2024 in the mm-hmm. fishing, but right now it's there's some hardships going on out there.
It's interesting. Back at the time, and I never didn't realize it, with what Mark was doing with Bass Zone and then BTL, and I'm sure you didn't realize it what you were doing with the Bass University at the time. But it is all about the brand, and that seems to be a real popular phrase in 2023. If you listen to anything that's going on in the industry, hey, you have to have a brand that has a lot of things that encompasses all together. So it's not just your on the water performance. And you mentioned that in 2008, heck, you had never competed at a higher level going into that year, back-to-back wins. You had 4 years with top 10s. You're on tour. I mean, if you just take your on the water, but the Bass University is a brand, and that's what allowing you to fish the Yodas or a division of the Opens. And it's just interesting. Like, that's one of the OG brands is the Bass University, and then you kind of become a part of that. So what seems to be kind of new, a lot of these top guys, it's all part of the brand, Pete.
Yeah, and we've built it, and we're proud of that. And one of the cool things about that and about the brand that we've worked so hard to build is we try to, we try to be at the premium side of developing, the content from speakers that are the best in the world. We use very, very credible speakers. We want to use guys that have been successful and won tournaments, have separated themselves on various techniques from some of the best anglers in the world. And that's something that's really important to us, that we use those guys that are the reputable speakers. But it's one of the thrills that comes from building the brand is looking around and seeing all the Bass University hats that you see at the tournaments around the country that we go to. People like wearing that brand, and there's no better feeling than that when you've worked so hard to build it.
I hate to say this, but I don't know about this reputable speaker thing. I have been utilized as a BU seminar we did at the Bassmaster Classic there on the Dink and Dunk. So that might drop the brand a little bit, Pete. But in my defense, it was on the Dink and Dunk and catching limits. And then last year I caught a limit all 16 days of the Opens that I fished. I did not leave a single fish on the table, and I averaged 12.007 pounds a day. So that seminar was about putting 5 solid fish in the box, and I averaged 5 2.5 pounders last year at the Open. So, I mean, maybe there's some validity to it.
We had to have Pan Rack on the line. We had to. But that was an awesome seminar. And you're so good with that strategy and that technique. And, we're glad to have it. We're excited I'm excited this year about a number of things. Gerald Swindle is with us this year.
Oh, wow.
We've worked with Gerald a lot. He's one of our most prolific speakers, one of the fan favorites, no doubt. And we're really excited to have him back in our class this year in Alabama, which is really cool. Greg Hackney is with us, who is one of my all-time favorite thinkers in fishing. He is what I call a natural. He's a purebred outdoorsman, and he just thinks about the way fish relate. And let me give you an idea. One of my favorite seminars from Greg is flipping for smallmouth, right? Unique topic, but Greg has figured out how to power fish for smallmouth. And this is the way he thinks, which nobody in their right mind would think like this. But when he describes getting the bite, and when the fish bites, you don't set the hook. You try to pull the bait away from him. And then, and only then, do you set the hook. Because when you try to extract the bait from the fish's mouth, he gets super aggressive and he commits completely to the bait, and then you set the hook. That
goes against everything we've ever been taught in 30 years of bass fishing.
It's brilliance. It's like a guy understanding the behavior patterns of a wild animal better than anybody else could, and then having the I don't know, what do you call it, the nerves to be able
to do it
through that, reactionary hook set, to be able to not set the hook when that's going on, risking the fish blowing the bait out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Greg Hackney. It's pretty.
And then
amazing.
he's also, you look at his success that he has had flipping smallmouth on both Oneida and Cayuga, and you're like, all right, there's obviously something here to it.
Something to it. But he's one of my favorites. Great thinker, just an amazing guy to listen to, and a tremendous guy personally, just to talk to. You always remember your conversations with Greg. One Ben Milliken. The new wave of anglers is going to be with us in Texas. And, Ben has become famous for chasing big bass and doing it with forward facing sonar. And so many others like before him that, we kind of, I guess, come from the YouTube crowd trying to make it on the tournament scene. Ben has done it, man. He is like, blazing a trail, and he had a tremendous year winning an open this year, dropping out of EQ points for a couple tournaments, and then having to make up at the end. Like the clutch performances in the last two events of the year were just phenomenal for him, and getting himself back into the elites. He's going to be fishing the elites this year. Super big fan base. People love him, and really excited to have him with us. And what better topic than to have him teach us how to use forward-facing sonar to catch the biggest fish in the lake. Really, really cool stuff. Interesting guys, interesting people in the class. So many blue trophies and big tournament winners. Alton Jones Jr. is going to be with us for the first time.
He just won in Texas last year. He's from Texas.
That's right. First time. He's been with us, and we're excited to have him. So many young guns like Suentes and Shakurit, one of my favorites. He's such a good angler, and he's really a good teacher and can convey that message really well. So what great lineup this year. Super proud of him.
I had the opportunity at a Strike King deal to go out with Shakurit for a half a day on one of these little Michigan bodies of water, and he'd never been on it. And we went and we dumped in, and we didn't really have anything to do. So we were just fishing, right, for half a day. This will just give you this is like a good story that kind of put into perspective of me when you got a guy who's next level. He's what, 17 years old? He's like 23, 24.
Yep.
And no, he might be 22. Anyway, there's a guy that had told him where to go on this lake. It happened to be Mark Zona. Zona was like, hey, when you dump in, go over to this portion of the lake, start doing this, you'll catch smallmouth. So Jay dumps in and he looks around, and he's pretty quiet. He goes to the opposite end of the lake and starts doing something completely different. And I know what Zona had told him to do, and I'm like, and we catch him. And in his head, he's like, no, it seemed I wanted to do something completely different. Like if I had dumped my boat in there, I mean, I'm a opens, top third opens angler statistically, if you just look at this, but I'm going to go exactly where he told me, and I'm going to do exactly what he told me to do, because that's what I'm going to have, whether it's true confidence or not. This guy has such supreme confidence in himself that he's going, hey, Zona told me to do this at this end. Like, yeah, that's an option, but I'm going to go do my own thing first. I'm going to go try something completely different, a different part of the lake, doing a different bait first. And it just like clicked in my head where I was like, that's why this guy weighed in 100 pounds. That's why this guy is good when he's young, because he does his own thing. He has confidence in it, and he's not afraid to take risks.
That's it. You really do have to think that way. And he's one of them, and he's awesome. Look at these new EQ guys coming up, man. I know you've probably talked to all of them, but they are along the same lines. And some things I noticed about those guys, who I'm real excited to see them out on tour, is we watch a lot of the forward-facing sonar techniques that are all finesse oriented, with all the shaky, fluke style baits and drop shots, and it's really crazy to see like Tyler Williams using a 3/4 ounce jig the majority of the time.
Yeah.
coming out with the big guns, you know, and using that same technology, but saying, wait a minute, there's more to this, you know, than begging these fish with a finesse tool. It's very, very interesting to see this young crop of anglers.
What else you got, Pete?
Man, that's just, I'm excited about this year. Excited to fish the Toyotas, you know. There's so much going on in the industry right now. It's crazy. I mean, I ask you this, Matt, is this going to be the strongest elite field that we've seen in the last several years since the split?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just keeps getting stronger and stronger because the young guys are getting more experience. And obviously we've seen every single year a number of top level talented anglers leave the Bass Pro Tour and move over. So you're adding experience and you're adding the star power.
Got Jay Lee coming back. We got a few of the classic spots that were given up. We've got that young, you know, EQ group that is as strong as we've seen.
And it'll be very interesting. Here's what we haven't talked about on that EQ group, Pete, that I haven't heard a lot talked about. There's a lot of overlap between the Opens of 2023 and the Elite Series of 2024. Now, zero info once the Elite Series 2024 schedule is released. While west of info for the 2023 Opens. I take advantage of it. 90% of the guys take advantage of it. It's out there. You can go there and do it yourself. You could do whatever the heck you want. But from that standpoint, I think it's going to greatly benefit a lot of those new EQ guys because they have studied, been on, and had success on at least half of the bodies of water that the Elite Series is going to. Plus, I am now almost of the opinion that if you average 23 years old, which is what the top 5 in the EQs average, and 26 and a half, which is the overall average age, with Ben Milliken at 32 and John Garrett at 28, far and away being the 2 oldest anglers, there is there is bliss in ignorance as far as everyday life stresses. Now, I'm not a good guy to talk about that. I'm 39 years old, not married, don't have any kids, have been in the fishing industry my whole life, but I am starting to see, you know that very well, Pete, too. But when you're 23 and you are 100% all in and you're going to half of the fisheries that you've had success on before, and you're on the water 300 days a year, and that is your sole purpose, I think those guys are set up. A number of those guys are set up to have very strong years. And there's several very business savvy anglers in there. I've gotten to talk to Kyle Patrick off the record a lot on the phone recently. Very impressed with what he's been able to put together. I know JT Tompkins has been on the phone calling a lot of veteran anglers trying to figure out how to get his ducks in a row. Obviously, you have Ben Milliken. John Garrett was groomed to be an Elite Series. He's already an Elite Series pro. He just hadn't fished it before. And then a number of those other young guys. So that's a long-winded answer, but
I agree. I think some of these kids are amazing. Like JT Tompkins, you brought him up, and I don't know, I interviewed him and he put 700 hours on his outboard this year. Yeah. Which that's just mind blowing.
You know how many I put?
150.
Yep. And that's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's 150 hours that your engine is running.
Yep. That's amazing.
How many?
700 hours.
What's the most you've ever put on? I mean, it would have to be a year when they didn't measure it, or when you couldn't just hit a button and see how many hours.
Yeah, that would be it. Because when I was doing what these guys were doing, I was trying as hard as I could to get as much time on the water. But I've never come close to what he's doing. He's on the water every single day, except for the days that require him to not be, which makes
because he's angry at him and he's 23 years old.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you that's tough to compete with. The guy that won't quit is impossible. I mean, he's hard to beat. So that's going to be what is going to be interesting to me is going to be how that translates into the off limits, the short practice of the.
Pete's back. We don't have any audio though. He's gonna have to jump out and jump back in, which is fine because we got one more break to take. We have one more break to take, so we'll take our final break and then we'll come back. Yeah, Pete, just log out and log back in, but we'll run the final commercials and be back. BTL on a Monday. Pete Glusic talking. Well, now we're talking about EQs. We'll be back after this.
I'm the kind of guy that never leaves a house without a pocket knife, and Gamakatsu's come out with the EDC series of knives. EDC stands for everyday carry, so whether you're on the water or off, you can always have it with you. The best thing about it to me is that assisted open feature. With this D2 blade, you've got it right here at your fingertips, so if you can't find your scissors, you need to cut a knot, you need to cut your braid, you've always got it. Make sure you check it out. Never leave home without your Gamakatsu EDC knife.
Born in Japan, using technology, innovation, and precision, Sunline produces the widest selection of fishing lines at the most technologically advanced line factory in the world. Manufactured at the strictest tolerances to produce victories at the highest levels of tournament bass fishing. From household names like Christie, Swindle, and Cruz, to young guns like Cook, Logan, New, and Welcher, they all trust Sunline to take them to the top of the leaderboard. Choose the line that will give you the strength to guarantee your confidence. Sunline.
Shoreline Boat and RV, dock rash, storm damage, collision repair, that deep scratch or gouge from trying to access that secret creek. Shoreline Boat and RV can get your prized possession back in mint condition and looking good on the water, fast. All repairs are done in-house, so they're able to get your boat or RV back to brand new, quickly. All Shoreline's work comes with a rock-solid warranty. Find out more at shorelineboatandrv.com. Kansas City, Austin, and Tulsa. All right, we're back. Pete's back. All right, go ahead and finish the thought there, Pete. Sorry about that. We just ran the final segment commercial. So, but yeah, no, back to the EQ 9 hours, 700 hours on Tompkins motor. Here's who was it? He said, oh, Don Allen said he has 700 hours. Jim, he said he's got 850 on his Merc and it's 20 years old.
That says a lot, and you know that's what the guys are up against, and you know you said a lot. Like a lot of the elite guys are veterans, right? They've got families, they've got other commitments, and you know they're not able to.
And these are the young guys. These are the Poliniks and Carl Jacobsons and Justin Lucases and all these guys that you know were the young guys. I mean, now they all have young families.
That's
and
right.
I talked to them. I mean, they're like, hey, you know, Justin Lucas, I talked to him. He's like, man, I want to spend time at home with my kids. Like, I love taking them out fishing and doing stuff in pond fishing and being around the house and that type of stuff. Like, that's what's important. You know, not that the fishing isn't still, but like they make time to do that.
Yep. Well, we're getting introduced to a young group of will not quit anglers, and that will be interesting. And I think that's going to continue, you know, down the road. We'll see how it plays out, because you know there's guys that are naturally gifted. Like, how do you replace the mind of Greg Hackney? I think you'll always see him be at the top so long as he wants to compete. And you know, there's that experience that comes into play so well that is, you know, going to be tough to overcome. But I will say this: these guys got their teeth into this sport. They got their spot, and I promise you, they're going to be fishing every single day that they can. Now, we talked about this earlier. You know, the sponsorship climate is kind of challenging right now with the uncertainty of the economics of the country and all this, the way companies are having to make some adjustments right now. That's got to be hurting guys, because you know you're coming at a $5,000 plus per entry fee, plus expenses, plus practice time. You know, you're going to need some support to keep at it for any length of time.
It is. It'll be interesting to see how many of these guys outside of fishing try to develop, because you know obviously Milliken has one of the biggest social media followings in the entire, but I know John Garrett does and the others do, but it'll be interesting to see how they develop their own unique styles and you know what they bring to the table outside of the fact that they're 23 have their whole lives in front of them and can catch the hell out of fish.
Yeah. Ben's got a leg up. He did it in a way that's really interesting. He went out and got that massive following and has a brand that just, people just love to watch him, and rightfully so. He's a lot of fun to be around and watch. And, so he's going to be okay going out here. I hear he's turning deals down so he can wear what he wants to wear and do what he wants to do on tour. He's a rare person that has that option,
Yeah, I'll be interested. We'll have this convo. I'll be very interested to see how his style with the video translates to the Elite Series. Like, is he going to find rivalries on the Elite Series, like with that same style? Like, is there going to be a picture of Matt Herron on his YouTube page with Herron cut me off to get 500,000? Like, I'm very intrigued, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing, but I mean, he does have the style of, I mean, we just saw what he did on Bass After Dark with Randy Blockett. I mean, he's not afraid to back down at all. Yeah. And he's going up against a bunch of guys who they ain't afraid to back down either. And he's the new kid on the block. So I am intrigued beyond all get out to see how those dynamics play out on the water. And then if those dynamics shift off the water or if it's left in the locker room on the water.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, right? It's not the first time we've dealt with that, right?
Nope. Your buddy, you roomed with them for 10 years, Pete.
Yep.
It turned out okay for Ike. Turned out okay for Ike. I mean, he's made a living at this, barely, but he's scratched by.
Yeah, he's scratched by. He wasn't part of the community. Now he is part of the community, and I don't know where that is now, but yeah, that kind of battling on the water is it's been ongoing. It's going to continue to be that way. We'll see how that plays. Is that gonna hurt you in the sponsor world? Certainly helped a lot of guys.
It helped Ike.
Yeah, bringing attention to it. It's going to be hard to tell. I guess we'll have to watch and see how that plays out. But it's he's going to be honest. He's going to be in your face with it. The big advantage is, oh my gosh, I can't imagine how awesome it would be. And I haven't done this for a while, but compete in a major tournament that has less than 100 people in it.
What I don't know what that means even.
Right? I mean, what it's like in these derbs. You're like, all right, your first 5 spots have a fleet of boats on them.
A fleet?
And, yeah.
Hey, when you were rooming with Ike, was he getting into scuffles every day? Would he come back to the room and be like, I got into it with this, or I did that, or because there's some people that say it's for show. I mean, was he feisty off the record?
He always downplayed that, like, personally, as I remember, like, he would say something off the cuff, like, oh yeah, I got into it with Kevin today, for a minute, and then that's it. Just walk away like it was, another day at the office, and then you watch it blow up. The details come out about it, but I think for him in his mind, it was, it was no big deal. It was like, we're out there battling for position. Things happen the way they happen, move on, Yeah. But no, that's all I ever got. Like, he never stewed on it. He never came home and,
he left it in the locker room.
He left it on the field.
Yeah. Left it on the field.
Yeah. That's it. It's, shake hands, weigh our fish. Let's go find some dinner. That was,
all right,
that's
Pete.
Typical for Ike,
Bass University Cyber Monday, Cyber Week deal going on, $99. Also, for those who aren't able to go to the Bass University, I do want to show this, like the screen here. This is, if you pay for the subscription, you get access to all of these videos, and they're all, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, 48 minutes, 42 minutes. Here's the thing on new bass fishing, autumn, swim bait. How many archived Bass University on the water and seminar shows do you know are in the vault?
We've got 1,200 seminars.
Yeah, there you go. including mine. Mine's in there. Is mine in there?
Yours definitely in
mine
there.
is one of the 1,200 in there. So if you want the dink and dunk, there you go.
That we've got the greatest of all time teaching about what they're really talented at. So it's all there at your fingertips. If you can't make it to the classroom, definitely get subscribed. It's a great deal going on right now. But we hope we see you in class. There's still tickets available. Texas is probably going to be the first one to sell out, but all the rest are right behind. So get yourself a ticket over at thebassuniversity.com.
Yep. The Bass University, and then just click on the link that shows the tickets, and great gift, and also 15 years. Congratulations on that, Pete. You got a good brand rolling. Another 15? You see another 15 in it?
Heck yeah, man! My son's fishing every chance he gets now. So yeah, we're gonna keep after it. Right now, I'm really interested in learning the youth programs and really catering some stuff towards the kids and working with him and his group. So yeah, I'm in it. I'm in it for another 15, my friend.
I love it. Obviously all the Bass U on the social medias. If they want to follow just you though, Pete Gluszek, in your quest to go 3 for 3 to pull the Hanselman in the Toyota series this year, what? You got your own stuff too, or you just run everything through Bass?
Yeah, I run everything through Bass U channels. Pretty much, I do post. I have Facebook, Instagram stuff, but pretty much you're going to see that Bass University quest for the Hanselman 3. You're going to see that on our at Bass University across all channels.
Do you think that'll ever happen again, where you win all 3 divisions and the championship in the same year?
I can't believe it happened. I mean, no, it's never going to happen again.
Like, do you put that above like back-to-back classics? Or there's multiple anglers who have won back-to-back classics.
Yep.
I think Clun, Kevin, Hank Cherry.
Yeah.
Jordan Lee. There's 4 right there.
Yeah, that's true. Just that being said, like to win that many tournaments in a row in a division and win the championship,
it's insane.
It's impossible. Didn't somebody else win 3 opens in a row?
I don't know. There might have been. I could remember like 2, but then the championship also, and just the way that it was done. That is something that I don't think will ever be done again. Ever, not even close.
Never be done again. It was an impressive feat by Ray for sure. But I'm going to try to duplicate it.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome. And then we could run this. We could play this clip. Did I hear a dog or a cat? Did I hear? Yeah.
No.
Oh, I thought I heard a dog, like with the collar, like shaking it. I was like, oh, I love to see. If you hear a dog on BTL, you have to put the dog on the show. So I thought I was going to leave it at that. But are you pet free? You're pet free at the Glusic house?
No, man. You kidding me? I got 2 dogs, a cat, and 2 chinchillas.
You're a chinchilla guy.
We have chinchillas, man. We got we've had them for a little while now. They're nocturnal little guys, but they're cool.
Are they good pets?
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty much cage kept. We take them out and play with them. We roll them around they're just very unique little animals, man.
They don't run away?
They don't. They're like little, I don't know, what would you call them? Big hamsters.
Huh. I've always been a fan of chinchillas.
Yeah, they're pretty neat. They're Jake's. They're supposed to live for about 20 years. So he's going to be taking them off to college with him.
Lifelong friend. All right, Pete, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for the time this morning. And don't forget, everybody, Tuesdays, tomorrow. Who do you got on tomorrow?
We're working on a guest for tomorrow. We'll let you know.
I've been there.
Yeah. Yep. We always like you guys, like everybody. We want the guys that are the most current in what's going on right now. So we'll keep you posted. Check it out over on our social pages. We'll let you know soon.
All right. See you, Pete.
Hey, thanks, Matt. Appreciate you.
Enjoyed it. All right, later. All right, that is the Dean, Pete Glusic. Let me give a little take on what we got going on this week before we wrap things up today. Some big news came down last week with One Bass, Western Outdoor News, Billy Egan, with a partnership with BASS, the Bass Angler Sportsman Society, and Bassmaster to get some of the West Coast guys into the Bass Nation National Championship. We'll have, I'm actually recording a show later today that will air next week with Billy Egan and Todd Klein to talk about bass actually making a little bit of a push out west. Then this afternoon, Daryl Gleason rolls into town getting his electronics put on with Scott Palmer and the guys over at the Bass Tank. Gleason is actually going to crash here tonight, and then we'll be live in studio tomorrow to talk about his plans for the 2024 season. Then we are going to hit the water crappie fishing, and then Wednesday, another in-studio guest. This is a selfish show. I've wanted to do this forever. Zeke Anderson. He used to work with the Bass Tank, but now he works like full-time for a crappie, one of the major crappie tournament trails. He will be in studio. He will be talking about the similarities in the crappie world and the bass world, how you can utilize crappie fishing in the winter to become a better bass angler for the other 10 months out of the year. And then Zeke and I are headed to the water. So that's what we have going on. And then all next week, I will be at Pro Bass Adventures down on Lake El Salto in Mexico, hopefully getting my hands on a double-digit bass. So that's all we got for today. Big shout out to Pete Glusic. Check everything I have over at the Bass University, thebassuniversity.com, bassu.tv also works. Been around for 15 years, which I just learned that today. That's all we got for today. Tomorrow, Daryl Gleason in studio. See ya.